I'm so frustrated right now because I just recorded for like 10 minutes and my camera had cut out 6 seconds into recording and I didn't notice. Hey, hi, hello friends. Today I'm here to do my November TBR. I hope the lighting's not too bad. It's quickly fading. Outside it's 4 p.m. already and it's a very dreary day. My November TBR is kind of chunky. I have like 14 or 15 books on it. But I'm hopeful. Like, I'm in a very reading mood right now. I've been reading a lot, so I think I can do it. We'll see. Either way, it's fun to imagine. The first book is, I'm currently reading this one. It is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I am almost 300 pages in, so I'm getting towards the halfway mark, kind of. And I'm enjoying it so far. This is kind of a classic epic fantasy series. I mean, I guess it's over 30 years old now since the first one came out. Yes, I'm hyped for the TV show. That's maybe why I'm finally picking it up. This is a series I always wanted to read. It's just that I thought, you know, I have my whole life for that. It's like a 14-book series if I like it and want to read the whole thing. But then all the hype of the show, and I'm really hoping it's gonna be good. I don't know. It looks like it could be a little gimmicky, but yeah, I'm one of those people. I know that the show's going to take from a few of the first books, so it's not just going to be this book, but I'm going to decide if I'm going to watch the show or wait until I read, like, the first 3. But anyway, we're following some young, like, teenagers who live in this, like, remote village called the Two Rivers, or they live in the Two Rivers area. One night, these scary, monstrous type beasts come and pillage their village. Mysterious wizard character in this novel, Moraine, and her warder Lan are there and they help. They help to defeat the Trollocs, and so they realize that the Trollocs are there because they're looking for a certain child, or like they're teenagers, that was born on a certain date that lives in this village. So there's like 3 or 4 of them, of the main characters, who are born around the same time, who could be this chosen one who supposedly, you know, is going to come into like some major powers. So they go on a journey. It's a journey story. It's very much the chosen one trope. The magic system is very interesting. It's kind of like elemental magic, and women can wield air and water, and men can wield earth and fire, but historically any man who wields the power in this world goes mad, basically, or turns evil, so they're not supposed to wield the power. But there's always, you know, there always comes one every once in a while that is trying to take over and calling themselves the Dark One, or, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. That's gonna be annoying. Calling themselves the Dark One, or the Dragon Reborn, things like that. It's very interesting. I'm intrigued so far. Yeah, it is very long-winded and descriptive. That's why I've switched from reading it physically to picking up the audiobook, because I read the first few chapters and I was like, this is going to take me 7 years to read. So I switched to the audiobook, and I'm enjoying that much more. The narrators are very good, and it makes those long descriptive passages go by quickly. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping that I'll be able to finish this before too long, and it won't take me all month. I'll quickly talk about my Libby loans. I have a couple audiobooks out from Libby that I need to get to soon. The first one is Passing by Nella Larson. This is a classic. I did not know this came out in the 1920s. I thought it was more recent than that. So this one, it's very short. It's a tiny little book. It's only a few hours audiobook, like 4 hours. And it follows a couple of women who grew up together or were friends in school, black women, and they reconnect later in life, and the main character, I'm assuming we follow her as the main character, realizes that her friend is passing as a white woman and has married a racist man who doesn't know that she's black, and this friend, I don't remember their names, but the friend starts encouraging her to also pass. And I've just heard that this book is incredible and that the ending is jaw-dropping. I always wanted to read this before I read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, which I want to read in December, because I think I've heard that The Vanishing Half takes some inspiration from Passing, so I'm excited for that. I also think I've heard that there's a Netflix adaptation for Passing coming out soon, so that'll be interesting. Next, from Libby, I have Life in the City of Dirty Water by Clayton Thomas Mueller. This is an Indigenous memoir, you know, talking about Clayton's upbringing and life as an Indigenous boy being raised by a single mother. It also touches on topics of generational trauma and domestic and sexual abuse and the residential school systems, etc., etc. And so I'm very intrigued for this one. And the cover's really beautiful, and I've had this on my radar for a while. I believe it's a 2021 release. And the last one I have out from Libby is The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Emeze. I still have yet to read Akwaeke Emeze, so I really need to. This one's been on my radar for a long time. And all I really know about this one is that one day a Nigerian woman opens her front door to find her, I believe, her dead son left on her doorstep, and so unravels. Like the family starts to learn more about him that they never really knew, and he had kind of this like secret life or life that they had no idea about. I don't know much more about it, but I've heard fantastic things about it and about Akwaeke Emeze's writing in general. On to this big stack of physical books I have now. The first one is Hunting by Stars by Sherry Dimline. This is a sequel to The Marrow Thieves, one of my favorite books. The Marrow Thieves is fantastic. It's a very short little novel as well. It's like a third of the size of this, and it's a young adult kind of dystopian set in a futuristic Canada where, you know, everything's gone to shit, and it follows a group of Indigenous characters on the run in the Canadian wilderness because white people have lost the ability to dream, and they've found that key to dreaming is in Indigenous people's bone marrow. So they're basically harvesting Indigenous people. So we have this group of like this found family, little group of characters who are on the run, living in the wilderness, and you get to learn a little bit about quite a few of these different characters, and you're following this 16-year-old boy named Frenchie. That's his nickname. And it's very much an allegory on like the residential school system and the treatment of the Indigenous people in Canada by the colonizers. I never really knew there was going to be a sequel because The Marrow Thief kind of wraps up, but there is a lot that could be expanded upon. I think this follows the same characters, or at least one of the same characters, and is like a direct sequel, I believe. So I'm very intrigued. So this is top priority in November for me. It just came out in October. The next thing I have is a reread, and that is The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. My main goal is just to read this by the end of the year, so it is one of those books that I could push to December if I need to. Not that I need to. I could push any of them to December. I've been rereading the Percy Jackson series and the Heroes of Olympus series all year. I had never reread any of these books since I first read them. I read Percy Jackson when I was like 11 or 12. Such a good time rereading. They definitely held up. The Percy Jackson series will probably forever be my favorite Rick Riordan series, but these ones are great as well, and they follow different characters and they kind of expand on the world. It's quite fun. And I wanted to reread all of these so that I can then read the Trials of Apollo series, because I only ever read the first book in that series and then I never continued, so that's going to be in 2022 that's going to be happening. So I'm just very excited to get into this, and I'm going to need a little like fun middle grade romp. I have The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. This is a gothic horror about a woman named Caitlin Starling. She's propositioning this rich man. I don't know if he's a doctor or if he's just rich or what. She really wants to be his wife, and he's very hesitant, and she eventually talks him into it, but he's like, we have one condition: you can't come to my house ever or at night. What does he say? She must never visit Lindridge Hall. And then one night, on the wedding night, an accident strands her at the door, and she ends up in there. And I really don't know much else. She ends up in there. Why do I talk like that? She ends up in the house in Lindridge Hall, and things happen. And it's a horror. And this cover is phenomenal. The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. This one I've been meaning to get to since the summer, and I believe this follows a woman who believes a professor at this college, at Cambridge University, is a killer, a serial killer maybe. I think she's trying to figure out what happened to her niece, and she's a psychologist. I don't really know. It's been a while since I read the synopsis. I didn't like The Silent Patient, but I'm hopeful for this one. I've heard mixed things. Some people say if you didn't like The Silent Patient, you'll love this. Some people say if you didn't like The Silent Patient, you're not going to like this one either. So I don't know. But I'm intrigued to see, so I need to finally get to that one. I have another one that I'm really a lot more hesitant on as of late, because I've been hearing some bad reviews, and that is Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams. So I enjoyed No Exit. It's like a good 4-star book for me. This follows a girl named Lena, and it hasn't been very long since her twin, Cambry, jumped off a bridge to her death. So Lena's going back to the bridge to kind of investigate what happened, I guess. But I just heard from Katie Coulson that this book is horrible, so I don't know. Now I'm a little hesitant, but I'm still intrigued. I bought it. I'm gonna give it a go. Iron Widow by Zirin J. Zhao. Again, I still haven't looked up how to pronounce her name. I need to do that. This is in an Asian-inspired fantasy world where young girls are selected as concubine pilots, or they're paired up with male pilots to power up Chrysalis's giant transforming mechas for battle. And our main character, her sister dies, so she wants to get revenge for her sister's death. So she ends up becoming one of these pilots, but she doesn't die, because usually they do, and so she becomes an Iron Widow, a much feared kind of female pilot who can sacrifice boys to power up chrysalises instead of the other way around. So instead of the female partner pilot getting sacrificed, the boy gets sacrificed. Just heard that this one is very violent, very dark, very grisly and gruesome and exciting. So I'm very excited for it, and the cover's just gorgeous. Yeah, that was kind of a chaotic overview, but a lot of times I just kind of hear something that intrigues me about a book and I pick it up without ever having read the synopsis. Then I have Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. This one follows a girl named Artemisia. She's training to be a Grey Sister, a nun who cleans dead bodies. Her convent is attacked by possessed soldiers, and she defends it by awakening an ancient spirit bound to a saint's relic. And she comes into some power. I've heard there's no romance in it, and like the main character is like, it's easier to work with the dead than the living. I'm like, so relatable, girl. The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This one follows a princess named Malini who is trapped by her brother, and a maidservant named Priya who is forced to disavow her birthright and her power because of her past. They get together and they burn the empire down, something like that. I don't know. I think it's sapphic as well. So I'm excited for this one. I haven't read any Tasha Suri before, so I need to, and I've heard great things. The sequel to this is called The Oleander Sword, and the cover just got released as well. So they're gonna look so pretty together. Oh my god, it's all green and it's gorgeous. So anyway, I really want to get to this before the end of the year. It is kind of a beast, but we'll see. I have a couple of other things that are just like maybes, because I'm like, I really wanted to read these, but now I'm like looking at the stack I have and I'm like, this is not gonna happen. Like, for example, Dune by Frank Herbert, obviously. I don't know if I'm gonna get to this in November. I just got this really nice deluxe edition. It was on sale like $20 off, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself, because orange books are my favorite. I am intrigued to see what all the hype is about, so I did want to get to this. I don't know if I'm gonna get to this in November though. I don't know. The other thing, this one I might get to before Dune, because I just saw that, again, I'm way behind on adaptation news. I just saw that the trailer for the adaptation came out, and the adaptation is coming out in December, and I did not know so soon. That's Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I read this book in 2015, so it's been a long time. It's been like 6 years, and I've been wanting to read it. I've been thinking about it a lot the last, I don't know, year, but I just haven't got to it. I'm not a big rereader. 2021 is the biggest year for rereads I've ever had. I'm really getting into rereading, but I'm like, oh my god, I'm running out of time. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna reread this in November. I don't even know if I'm gonna watch the adaptation anytime soon. The trailer was very confusing, but I'm sure if I'd freshly read the book, maybe I'd understand it a little more. The book is I think this is a hard book to adapt. Like, there's a lot of things going on. We jump back and forth in time a lot. We follow many characters. We have this Shakespearean, like, circus troupe. Like, it's kind of a hard one to adapt. So I'm very intrigued how they're going to do that. Like, if they're going to take liberties and kind of change it. I don't know. But I do want to reread this at some point, so maybe I'll get to it in November. That's my November TBR. Let me know in the comments if you have any of these on your November TBR by chance, or if you've read any of these and really liked them or really hated them. Let me know your opinions. If you don't have an opinion and you just want to leave a comment to let me know you were here, you can leave an emoji. Let's pick the emoji for today. Leave a tent emoji. There is a circus tent emoji, but there's also like an orange, just a camping tent. Leave a tent emoji because we just talked about Station 11. There you go. I figured it out. I figured out the emoji of the day. Happy reading, everyone, and I hope November treats you well, and I will hopefully be back soon with my October wrap-up. Thanks for watching. Bye.